Welcome to the X-Men Legends 2 Supplemental video. Yeah, this is why I gotta end it. That last video I ended it on Legends. It loses its pomp. It loses its edge if you say anything after Legends, in my opinion. So, Rise of Apocalypse, that works, I guess. I'll think of something with that as well. Like I said, this was a supplemental video to explain how I plan on building every single character in the game, because you get a bunch of them right off the bat. You only get like 3 unlockable characters, and they won't even come up till later. I will explain them in the LP itself. This is for everybody else right now. The sequel managed to nearly double the amount of powers and techniques you get. As far as my source materials for choosing what to go with on powers, from what little I remember from back in the game, for the most part I've used the Brady Games guide I got when I first purchased this game long ago, an FAQ which I checked to make sure I'm not missing anything special, like conversations, certain team-ups with certain characters together. I'll get into more of that the next episode. A straight-up character builder FAQ, and finally supplemental videos like this from a YouTuber who did an LP of this a few years back by the name of 40 Warrior. Of course, now we're just going right down the list of characters we have. We start with Bishop. Here's his other skin. I prefer this because reminds me of the Fox X-Men's cartoon. You know, I wonder what world we could have lived in had, instead of over 9,000, Kajito-kun made a meme of Fox's X-Men with Bishop screaming, "The X-Men are the assassins!" Something I think about. I don't know if anybody else does. Anyway, his mutant power is basically absorbing and redirecting. Unfortunately, it doesn't come up to play that often, or he wouldn't have a big fucking gun to work with. So, go into details and work with this guy. Oh, his stats. He's going to be mostly a big focus, so you get 4 points to put in. You get 4 points to put in every time you level up. So I'd go with 3 focus and 1 body, kind of back and forth, kind of, because he's going to be using powers a lot. He's a ranged character. Most ranged characters will probably go work with this. Like I said, he's got a gun to back it up. It's just going in here later with gun mastery. Gives him more damage with any of his guns. As far as the things to remember for powers go, you see these in the green are your active powers and your skills that you use offhand. You can see, like, in the bottom left corner, what the 3 of them are lit up, the square, X, and the circle buttons. The yellow ones are your extremes, which, like before, they take tokens to actually work on. Let's start with 15. For the most part, I'm going to be going with the level 20 ones, unless I mention otherwise. And his is really good. The superconductor. Entire party spends no energy and takes no energy damage for a certain time for 15 seconds. It takes a while to get that up, and it just increases the duration for that. Still really good. The blues are boosts. You usually get 2 of those, and they usually always go towards the well, as you can see, the extremes are up top with the triangle button, like before. The boosts are, as you can see, they're to the left with the square button. You usually get 2 of those. I'm going to go Energy Fury with this one. And lastly, these, with no colors on them, are all of your passives. They are on no matter what. Probably just going to put a point into Energy Combat just to have something to back him up. He's not going to, but, like, at least until he starts getting, like, Mutant Master to up his regeneration rate till his focus starts getting bigger for stuff like that. This is useful. I don't really care for the resistances with that, as I believe that's a resistance to energy 10%. He already starts, but that's pretty good for a passive. Like, his defense really goes up and his movement speed. So, always if nothing else, always start with the passives for the most part for characters. I'll tell you which ones to ignore for some of these characters, because some aren't really all that good. Most of his are alright. A point in energy combat, most of his masters will come into later. As you can see, as far as powers go, like I said, the gun option I'm going to go for, Plasma Blaster, and later on, by level 14, as you can see, Plasma Blaster, I already put a point in there. You always start with a point in the first thing. going to put more into full auto, level 14. Then he gets a little spray, does some radiation damage, and finally, I believe I had rapid fire afterwards. Going down, our next character. Yeah, only got one so far because I'm in like the danger room mission. That's why I'm only seeing one character as opposed to 4, so I can do this a little easier. Colossus. Here's his other skin. Gets that little red on. Kind of like this one better just because it adds to his overall steelness of him. I didn't use him very much in the first game. I'm not even probably going to bother at all with this one. Hell, the character builder FAQ I looked up said flat out told me, like, don't bother. He's really slow and there's plenty of other tanks to work with, especially further down the line. If you are going to use him, though, he is one of those really beefy tanks that increases his damage output every 2 points you put into strikes. So every level, I'd say about 3 strike, and body just to keep him alive, speed to keep this up to make him a little more tanky with attack and defense. Oh yeah, I mentioned the resistances. I believe the top one... Okay, the top one... Yeah, there's 4 of these. I'm trying to remember. Because, again, I don't use them that often, so they don't come up for me. But the top one, as you can see to the right, is energy. I believe the second one down the list is mental. The third is radiation. And finally, elemental at the bottom with the flame right there. Forgot to explain that earlier. But yeah, as you can see, goes into what striking. Stuff for focus depends on how fast he regenerates. You can see the percentage. And of course, all that stuff there for double heal chance. For body. Like I said, I'm not going to use him that one. But go half strike, spend the rest on whatever you want. Start out with his passives. Most tanks benefit from this. Most tank characters aren't really going to use powers all that much. They're going to fall back on their passives because they're just going to be up in front, swinging at things. I would, his defense already got 1 in brawlers, you can see. Natural attack increase, really good. He starts with might. I would put any character with might, I would put another point in there so they can lift whatever they damn well please. Gotta wait till level 5 to put the second one there, so that's why it's not there now. But yeah, all passives except for metallurgy. Like I said, I'm not going to be going for these resistance powers because there's other points to put them in. It might take me a while to get them all as well. But again, I'm not going to use them. But I would put... He's already got Iron Fist for knockback, but because he's a melee character, I'd wait till uppercut drops and focus on that to pop enemies into the air and keep them in your range. Later on, focus more on the Siberian Express, much later. Yeah. Unbreakable's pretty good, though, for his extreme. Makes him invincible and increases his damage for a time, so. If nothing else, he'll be a heavy hitter, but I have better options for heavy hitters, so. Only time you're going to see him use him is for, certain characters have certain conversations with certain other characters in this game. So the only time you're going to really see him is for that. Next up, Cyclops. More or less the same way I built him from Legends 1. See, there's a little much dorkier outfit than the one I remember. Okay. Again, heavy on the focus, little on bodies to keep him alive. Ignore these two. He's not going to get in. It's not going to matter with him with the attack, and he's not exactly going to be getting in close at all. Now because of the powers, how they split out, they don't level up like they did in the first game. Like Optic Beam just gets stronger, but it no longer pierces at later levels. You don't even get that till later with Focused Beam, and by then I wouldn't even go for that. I would instead put it towards Polarized Beam because it'll split into 3 when it makes contact and then splits off and hits other enemies. So, it'd be really... Auto Artillery gives him something else to work with. Put a couple points in the Sit-Up Trap, does some electrical damage. Extreme powers. I'll focus on the Flawless Tactics, for power leveling. purposes. Always good. Either one of these boosts are really good. Up his defense or command for +1 to all learn skills. Magneto gets a power like this called Supremacy. So I'm going to go with tactics for as far as his boost. Since Magneto's always going to have something, like I mentioned earlier. All his passes are really good. This is good because he's going to be far away and he's going to need to dodge and projectiles. Of course, Visor upgrade lets him all his beam attacks more powerful. Like he gets leadership because he's the leader of the X-Men. So critical chance and combo XP, and they do stack with Magneto. So, and of course, Mutant Master to help him out with keeping his powers up so he can use them over and over. All right. Next up, Gambit. I just switched with him because he doesn't have an alt yet. I think he gets one later. He's one of whom the newer and broader scope of abilities and powers he actually benefits from, in which case one of the FAQs had 2 ways to build him. A ranged card thrower, or a kinetically powered melee character, kind of like the way I used Emma Frost in the first game. Like he was, like all her punches were doing like psychic damage. I'm going to go with the latter on this one, the melee. And just turn him in, not really that much of a tank, but because he won't be as powerful, but he'll still do pretty well. So he might not need focus all that much. Yeah, this build kind of has him like a jack of all trades kind of thing. Of course, you want strike and speed. Body to keep him alive is always important. Focus so he can turn his powers on, because that's when he gets really dangerous. I will have some card attacks to fall back on, in which case it starts with card shuffle for a while, but it doesn't get all that much until later levels, and by then I'm going to be working towards Ace of Spades from causing radiation damage, and Full House from it blow up on enemies causing pop-up damage. But you really won't need them for the most part. Like I said, with my build, this will just be more something to fall back on if he doesn't have an opportunity to get close. Prince of Thieves. This I'm going to focus on, though, and take him into, like, danger room missions, because, like the first game, you can fail them over and over again and keep getting, like, tech bits and experience and health and energy packs, and this will help increase the odds of that. It is a extreme power, though, so I got to build towards that, but still. As far as his boost go, both are interesting. You can go with Energy Form, just improves his defense and movement speed, or Energy Fury if you're going to splash him in with a bunch of tank characters, so all of them get a chance to just drop more extra energy damage on melee attacks. So, really splashable in a lot of teams with either build. It depends on what build you're going with. Block, probably not going to see all that much of. I didn't see any of the FAQs even mention of it, so. Energy Combat I already have in him, just so you can start with the melee thing. He starts with Evade, because he's going to be getting close if you are working with that. If you're just going to go cards, I would ignore that and instead focus on Card Mastery more and Evade less. And of course, Mutant Master to keep his regeneration up. Iceman. Once again, he's another character that has his stuff split. Again, I'm going to make him, since Gambit's... There was a way to build Iceman kind of the same way, kind of a melee character that does like elemental damage. Since I'm already doing that with Gambit, Iceman is going to be more or less the way I had him in the first game. His focus is kind of poop right now, so I'm going to have to build that up a little bit later. Yeah, his body's already pretty good. But as far as his powers go, he starts with Slow Beam, which when level up just continues to be slow. It doesn't freeze or anything. He gets that separately. Thankfully, he gets it a lot quicker than Cyclops' better beam attacks. He gets that at level 7, so work on that. I'm going to I was told to put a point in Ice Slide for certain puzzles. Not sure where that will come up. Later on, he gets these 2 powers, which are supposedly really, really good. Cold Crush and Ice Pillar, so I'm going to be working towards those. Cold Snap lets him do a radial attack to freeze everything. You might have seen that in the first game. I will go instead for Ice Sidekick, just to bring out like a 5th character to focus damage on and let him do things. It's only out for a little while. But with enough powers, he'll start to be a force to be reckoned with, so I'm told. Ice armor to keep him around. Slow melee attackers. Or he can give himself the ice gloves. You might have seen this earlier. Again, if he's going to be working with a lot of melee characters, I would go towards this instead. Ice combat, if we're going to go melee with Iceman, which I am not, so I will be ignoring this. I'll probably put a point in just to have it back up like I did Bishop. Cold Mastery, of course. All his cold damage will do more. Piercing Cold lets him pierce through with his attacks using beams and ice shards, so useful. Not so, no, maybe. Probably a point to that just so he has the pierce. And Mutant Mastery, of course, because he's going to be using powers a lot. Juggernaut. Hoo. May just give Wolverine a run for his money as far as the best tank in the game goes. And let's get the big red skin on. That's better. Power of Cyttorak compels him to kick ass. And he does it very, very well. He's one of those characters, once again, big, heavy, that benefits from getting more damage output every 2 points put into strike, so go heavy on the strike. Alternating between speed, so his attack and defense rating goes up in body just to keep his health alive. Focus, you're not going to be worried that much about. For him, you're not going to be focusing on powers that much. You're going to keep them cheap. You're just going to be having him go in. He's more or less going to be doing damage as opposed to having a whole bunch of powers to work with, so... But he does start off something really good with giving him a Thunder Punch, which if landed correctly hits twice and also stuns. Very good. Very, very good start. I think I was working, yeah, Crimson Rage, later at level 28, multiple punching and building up damage with each hit. This will be good for boss characters. Again, just going to put a point into these. If they start to lag behind and maybe not do as much damage as I hope, I'll put points into that. But for the most part, you're going to go passives with him. Passives. Path of Destruction will be really good. If only it worked on bosses. I'm building towards that. I'm not going to worry about boosts for this guy, to be quite honest. I might do some energy shield to affect the melee damage to the attackers. That might be useful, I guess. Again, mostly passives. Precision. Already put 20 to his attack. Snatch's Folly to let him gain his EP because he doesn't have a Mutant Mastery. So if you are going to go with a little bit of powers, you can work towards this. Balanced Form. This is what separates him from Colossus and Rogue, because this actually gives him attack speed and his defense goes up too. So, and then of course most tanks will have this as well for their melees, the critical strikes, so work towards that. And again, level 5, put another point to might so he can lift whatever the hell he pleases. Magneto. The only ult he has right now is he takes his helmet off. Prefer to keep that on. He's not voiced by Tony J anymore, so sorry fans of him. There was a very lengthy build for him. Magneto, straight support I'm going with. Kind of a even out the focus body for him. And then, like I mentioned before, Supremacy is a good boost. Right here, lands it at level 7. +1 to all skills for a time. Of course, if you're not doing that, Polarized Shield could work as well. Block all incoming attacks, but he already has something for that later. As far as powers go, get Levitation to level 8. So, which works like the second level of Might. He'll be able to use that to lift whatever he pleases. And you might have seen me use that earlier. It works basically like a Gene's Telekinesis. Later on, what was it? Shrapnel Sentry? Yes. Sorry, I'm just going over my notes real quick. So Shrapnel Paws to trap people. Them hurt. Not much else for powers. Like I said, he's going to be mostly support. He's not going to be doing all the damage. He's going to be helping you do damage. He's with his leadership and his supremacy. He, like Iceman, has one of these. The metal minion to summon for a time. Of course, his passives. Chance to block for missile attacks, because again, he's going to be far away. This will be good. Intimidation to lower melee damage. So, yeah, he's good at keeping himself alive, so he can help you out, if nothing else. So, Very good passives. Leadership, of course. Flight. As you can see, it's no longer 30 points in the first game. It's got knocked back down to its 10 at the third level that X-Men Legends 1 had. But it doesn't carry people anymore from what I've seen. So just drop a point into flight and be done with it. I didn't even use it all that much in the first game. You're not going to use it all that much here. So, and of course, Mutant Master to keep his powers up again, like a good focus kind of guy. They're getting a little more citizens. Why is she all the way down there? Oh, probably because she's listed as Phoenix, NOPQR. Yeah, that's why I'm a little out of order. That's why my notes were a little weird. Sorry. Anyway, Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler.
Here's his alt. I think the yellow one was what he started with. I think I changed him to the red just because it looks so much better. That red and blue. In the first game, you were God tier. In this game, you're straight up fucking broken. This guy's gonna be my last resort for like shit to where I can, if I need to beat up enemies or just put him in like danger room to get like levels really quickly. Go all strike on this one. Alternate between body and speed. Leave focus alone, and I will tell you why. At level 28, you get something called Teleport Frenzy. If you put points into this and 0 points into Teleport Attack, Teleport Frenzy is for free. You spend no EP using it, so gonna focus on a late bloomer, but once he gets going, yeah. So you might see him a couple times, like I said, last resort or whatever, in case things go south really quickly. Divine Blades you start with, not terribly bad. It has a chance to hit 3 times in succession, so if you're lucky, Looks like that. I got, of course, 1 in teleport just so he has it, so he can. That actually carries people, and it already says at 1 level, so just put it towards that and lets him do work with that. But yeah, not gonna put anything for its teleport frenzy. Just keep his strike up there and everything else. Master of Chaos. This will actually go towards this as opposed to the level 20 Disappearing Act, because it doesn't have that much XP in the defense. Allies become invisible. Like Cyclops is better with this. Gambit is a better one with this. So he's gonna be doing more of the damage. So I'm gonna let's see as far as boost goes. Probably lurk a little bit towards the Shadow Mastery. Sword Mastery to start with, just so his first attack hits harder. Later on, Teleport Mastery, because he's just going to be spamming Frenzy. Uncanny Reflexes lets him dodge the melee attacks when he gets in close. Gonna probably put at least 1 point into this, so he has it. 50% chance to rescue somebody from certain death if they die within range. This, like I said, I'm going to put a point in this, but it only works, as you can see, if you're not controlling him directly. It's only used for AI, like it was in the first game, and of course Critical Strike to let him do more melee shit off his attacks. So yeah, late bloomer, but again, a godsend. No pun intended. Jean, mostly the same as the first game. Just remember which button to push some buttons in these. Just as the Phoenix skin, that's why she's further down on the list. Okay. Again, mostly focused. She already starts with really good. I already put a couple points in already. Not going to focus on strike and speed, so 3 focus, 1 body. Every level, just about. Push this one around the other way. Like Magneto's levitation, get telekinesis to level 8 so she can lift whatever she pleases. Unless you have tanks for that purpose. Just don't send her out. Don't send her out against anything robotic, because they're more often than not resistant to mental attacks, which is what all her shit is. Let's see, what else? What else I have? I think I had Psychic Spike. Yeah, homing projectiles. Very nice, so she can stand from far away and just launch them. She'll get more later on, later levels. What else? Dark Phoenix is our heavy hitter at level 28, but I'm told it takes a while to get out. So, yeah, they told me not to really work on the radials for the most part, everyone said, even though I did use this a lot and but it's just going to take a while to actually get good again. So, and again, I have other characters for that, so I'm just going to stick with that. Phoenix Force, extreme radial attack to a chance to convert enemies, or what I'm going to use for the chance to resurrect one ally. Not much for 10%, but with later levels it's probably going to be more than half, I'm betting. Again, it's been a while since I played this, so I'm not sure. Mental Vortex, I'm told, is one of the better boosts in the game. Or if you're with a bunch of... Like, both her boosts are really good. Like, it depends. If you're using tanks, Mental Vortex. If you're using her with a bunch of other focus characters bombarding shit from afar, switch to Calming Presence. I forget what button it is, but I saw one of the Let's Play videos. He is actually switching through powers. I forget what button that is. I'll have to look that up. Again, I don't remember using boosts at all that much in the first game. I'm just going through it again, just showing off everything. Gives June and allies mental damage bonus on all melee attacks for a time. Yeah, not going to be going for that. Oh, she's the only one at 3 boosts? Oh, there's a couple characters with 3 boosts I just mentioned. She's not going to get in close, so don't worry about psionic power. This will be useful on the other hand. Telekinetic net. Mental mastery, of course. Point and flight, as always. I already has it. So it's Mutant Master, just to... Who's going to be big on the focus. We go to Rogue, another character you're not going to see me use all that much. As far as tanks go, I got Juggy and Wolverine to cover it. Everybody else just kind of meh.
Rogue.
Her costume's a little better, and her alt's like the thing she wore from the first game. Kind of used to her with the trench coat, so I'll actually have that one on. Probably going to go strike, a little bit of body, a little bit of speed, again, just for the damage output. Some focus if her powers start to lag a little bit. She doesn't get any really special abilities. She has Smash to start with knockback, which is okay. She doesn't even get the really good stuff until Tremor and Torpedo Strike, which can hit a whole bunch of times if you're fortunate enough, if you are going to use her. She has some of the best extreme powers, though. Either Manic Slam, you can just sap EP from enemies and stop them from using their powers for a time. You know, take other damage and stun them. Or Reflective Aura and just bounce all damage taken back on the enemies for a short period of time. But again, they're both extremes. Heal, I am told by one, actually is glitched in the way that it takes off buffs. So, not going to be using this. Gonna go for the Southern Shout as far as boosts instead, since I'll just increase the maximums for a time, and that's pretty good. It does get a little expensive. Harden to increase her defense because she's going to be getting in close. Prism Shield, not going to be using because I'm not going to go for resistances. Critical Strike, of course. Might. 2 points in that again. List of massive stuff, and Flight for 1 level for that. Yeah, a lot of really powerfuls. Unfortunately, she doesn't have Mutant Mastery to back them up, so yeah, just not going to bother with her either all that much. Scarlet Witch, on the other hand, is interesting. Whoop. Sorry about that. I forgot. Puts the wrong button.
Scarlet
Witch. And to show off her Ultimature Stripperific. So, you can see why I went with that one. Scarlet Witch. Late bloomer. Worth the wait, though. Another heavy focus, little bit in body. I'd go with Combustion to start with, just to see as some kind of radial to surround enemies. She doesn't get into her real potential till about level 14, where she can use this and turn bad guys into crits with good shit inside. It's like a small chance to do that. Still pretty good. Still something to keep enemies away if it lands. Later on, she'll get Hex locked. Has something called Deadly Strike. A couple characters have this, and it's usually a 3rd instant health loss. And then Hex Explosion, another projectile. Of course, she has something for all her Hex bolts, Hex Mastery, later on one of her boosts. Anarchy Assault lets her do Magic Burst with a random damage chance to convert. Or what I will be using for her, Revitalize, just so I have another healer, which is good at Probability Siphon. Pretty much all the FAQs I followed agreed on this one, how good it was. Her boosts are dependent on how you'll be using her. Again, this is more if you'll be rolling with ranged characters and go with Siphon. Otherwise, if you're going with tanks, you can increase their damage and chance of critical hits and do Amplify Luck. So, depends on what you're using her for. Scarlet's heal, I think hers is okay. I don't know. But again, I already have 2 boosts already, so I'm probably not going to be focusing on this at all, really. As you can see, I already have one in Probability Siphon. Scarlet's Touch was told not to mess with all that much from a couple of sources, so I won't. Just work the other 3 passives, deflect missiles so she can bounce shit back, which is really useful. Hex Mastery to give all her attacks more power, and Mutant Mastery to make sure she's pumping them out even more. Storm, more or less the same as Legends 1 again. Her hair's a little better. Kind of like the Tina Turner look they gave her into. Like before, heavy on focus. Real heavy on focus. A little bit of body to keep her going. And once again, her thing is split where Lightning Strike will cast Lightning Bolt on an enemy and can stun them for a time. But as far as Chaining Lightning goes, that comes up a little later. And by then, you might not even need it as much. There's 2 ways to build her. You can go with Lightning just make her a straight damage dealer like I did in the first game, or go all about the peripheral bonuses with her wind-based attacks. I want damage, so I will be going with the Lightning. Let's see. As far as boosts, I don't think they said anything. Maybe Whirlwind Armor. Well, Storm Shield's just going to do Oh, I skipped her. Will of the Goddess is supposedly one of the better extremes to have. Yeah, you can read right there. Everybody invulnerable increases their max CP for a time. So, very, very useful in a pinch. Elemental Combat, she's not going to be getting close at all, so I'm not going to bother with that. Also not going to bother with Wind Mastery. You might see like a yellow band around her if I use her for a long time, just because I don't have that much in powers for her. She's just going to be pretty straightforward like I built her before. Of course, with the Lightning Mastery for all her electricity damage, Point and Flight already. Mutant Mastery, of course, to let her pump out more powers. Sunfire, new to the X-Men team. Here's his alt. I kind of like that one a little bit better. Or was that the one he started with? I think this one is just like has that Rising Sun of Japan motif. I kind of like the red and the black myself. Okay. Another big focus character like the others. Unlike Storm, he only has the one type of elemental damage to focus on, being fire. So 3 focus, 1 body as far as stats go. And he starts with Flamethrower instead of Ignite. I would go towards Ignite, actually, because it never misses. So it does okay damage off the trade-off. It's not very powerful by itself. Later on, you get something called Flame Sword at level 21. Could hit things in an arc and increase critical chances. Probably going to go with Rising Sun just to give him even more power to work with. Mushroom Cloud and Radiation Damage not really going to work all that much. Flaming Fury, again, if you're rolling with tanks, it'll be pretty good. Ion Shield, if you're going to keep him up, decreases defense and damages enemies during the time. Pardon me. I think I'm going to be sticking with Flaming Fury and at least put maybe a point into the... I think he has like elemental combat with the fire. Just 50% damage. Again, he's not going to be getting close. I'm not going to worry about that. Fire Mastery, of course, is important for all his powers. Ionize just increases all his resistance. I'm told it was really good, but again, I'm not focusing on building resistances, so... It does cover all of them, if nothing else. It does cover all 4, so... maybe at least a point into that if I can't think of anything else to put in at the time. Other than that, there's always Flight and Mutant Mastery again. Toad. Not a full-on tank, but really useful in later parts of the game. Go half strike on him and spread the rest to his other stats. Kind of a jack-of-all-trades melee character, not quite a full tank. Like Storm, you have two options as far as damage goes. You can go the tongue strike for straight-up damage, or his spit attacks for peripheral damage, just like over status effects. Again, I'm going damage, so the tongue attacks will work for me. He starts out with Hammer Kick, which is alright. Go for Tongue Strike next. Tongue Lash later on, of course. Gonna go with his level 15 as opposed to his level 20 for his Tongue Whip. Just so we'll have another character that does like actually a striking attack for my extremes. Because his has like Gambit. He's got this, but it's more potions than tech bits. So I already have that with Gambit, so that's why. Secretion's a really good boost, though. Again, if he's going to be splashed with a bunch of tanks. But even if not, it ups their movement speed, so it lets them avoid shit, so just very good all around, so not even going to work with Taunt or Block. Again, ignore Spit Mastery, going for Tongue Mastery, because those are the kind of attacks I'm going for. And Critical Strike and Mutant Mastery are given, of course. And finally, Snickety.
Wolverine.
Toad's ult was just like, it wasn't that great. It's like a different color of what he was wearing. It was like gray instead of the blue. For Wolverine, I'll stick with the one he had from Legends 1. Already level 3 just because I spent the more time with him than anybody else. Once again, heavy on the strike. Never so often put one in body to keep his health up. Speed to make sure his attack and defense are decent. He starts with the usual Feral Slash, aka Booyah! Working up his way to Claw Flurry. Increased melee attacks that stuns victims, really good. Don't bother with Bloodlust. Move on to Eviscerate, which becomes good later on. And finally, Claw Frenzy. Slashing attacks increases attack speed for a time. Basically works like a... I think it works just about instead of... I think it's like Juggernauts, but instead of like damage, it goes to speed. Gonna go Berserker Fury on this one, because again, I'm gonna have another attacking one. As far as extreme powers. Root Awakening just lets him resurrect himself from dead if he dies within the boost lifetime, but it's only as far as the thing goes off, so... keep him alive, but not really that much. Berserker Rage could be very useful for his boost. Scream, you know, it's expensive and doesn't even really last all that long, so I'd focus on this instead. Keep him alive as opposed to depowering enemies, because once they go, right? Clawmaster, of course, for all his attacks. Enhanced Senses is really good as well. Natural attack and defense increases. Gotta ignore Strong-Willed, because again, Regeneration, because it's pushed out so far like this, I'd almost say don't bother, or at least put a point in so he has it. Not really all that useful here as it was in the first game, because again, it's so spread out like that. He only has like the 1 point of might, which lets him damage heavy things. He doesn't get the second because he's not like super tanky. And that's it for all the characters. Now, as far as the unlockables go, you may have noticed there are 3. You get 1 for finding all of a certain item in all of the acts in the game. You get the 2nd for completing all of the Danger Room disc missions. And the 3rd for just completing the game and taking them on a New Game Plus, where you can keep all your characters' levels and powers and all that such. I'll save any info and builds for them once they are unlocked in the main LP. Thus concludes my supplemental video on X-Men Legends. Wah, 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 wah.